The Persian Empire was one of the largest empires in history. It once stretched from Egypt's deserts to Europe's Balkan Peninsula to the Indus Valley in India. It was a civilization brimming with power that saw rulers rise from nothing, conquer vast lands, and leave behind legacies that still echo in art, language, and more. For over 1,000 years, it was one of the mightiest empires in the world. Keep watching to learn more about the rise and reign of the Persian Empire. The First Persian Empire. In the beginning, the Persian Empire was a group of semi-nomadic tribes raising sheep, goats, and cattle on the Iranian plateau. The history of carpet weaving in Persia dates back to these nomadic tribes. The ancient Greeks once prized the artistry of Persia's hand-woven rugs, which were famous for their elaborate design and bright colors. Although the Persians came a long way from their humble beginnings, they are still prized for their carpets. The leader of one of these tribes began to conquer neighboring kingdoms, such as Media, Lydia, and Babylon, and joined them under his rule. With each victory, Cyrus showed mercy to his defeated foes, which was an unusual approach at the time. When he entered Babylon, he freed the Jews who had been enslaved there, allowing them to return to their homeland. This earned Cyrus the Great a reputation as a liberator rather than a conqueror. As a result of his conquest, he founded the First Persian Empire, also known as the Achaemenid Empire, around 550 BCE. Under Cyrus the Great, the Persian Empire soon became the world's first superpower, uniting three important sites of early human civilization: Mesopotamia, the Nile River in Egypt, and the Indus Valley in India. Luckily for modern-day historians, Cyrus the Great's story is immortalized in a clay cylinder called the Cyrus cylinder. It is inscribed with a tale of how he conquered Babylon, dethroned King Nabonidus, and ended the Neo-Babylonian Empire. The Persian Empire was largest under its fourth king, Darius the Great. When he ruled, the empire stretched from the Caucasus and West Asia to Macedonia, now known as the Balkans, the Black Sea, Central Asia, and even into parts of Africa, including parts of Libya and Egypt. He was a great builder and an organizer, dividing his empire into provinces and appointing governors to oversee each one. To connect his massive territory, he ordered the construction of the Royal Road, a 1,500-mile network linking the empire from Susa in Persia to Sardis near the Aegean Sea. After it was built, messengers could cross the empire in just 7 days, increasing trade, communication, and military efficiency for the empire. Darius also introduced a standardized currency, the daric, which became a recognizable coinage throughout the empire. He also established standard weights and measures and made Aramaic the official language. His innovations allowed him to integrate the economies of his diverse empire, from Egyptian farmers to Anatolian artisans. Persia became not just a realm of power, but also a place of unprecedented cultural and economic exchange. The Persians were the first to establish regular communication routes between 3 continents: Africa, Asia, and Europe. They built many new roads and developed one of the world's first postal services. To showcase Persia's grandeur, Darius the Great built Persepolis, a ceremonial capital filled with palaces. It was built upon massive terraces decorated with ornamental facades that featured the rock relief carvings for which the Persians were famous. With input from artisans across the empire, Persepolis became a display of Persian craftsmanship and artistic vision, blending styles from Greece, Egypt, and beyond. It was a city created to inspire awe, and for centuries it did precisely that. It was named a World Heritage Site in 1979, and it ranks among the world's most significant archaeological sites. While Darius solidified his empire, he encountered one of Persia's greatest rivals, Greece. The Persian Wars began with the Battle of Marathon in 490 BCE. Darius's forces sought to expand into the Greek world, but the Greeks, especially Athens, fought back fiercely. The war became legendary. Although the Greeks eventually repelled Persia's advance, the conflict marked Persia as one of the ancient world's most formidable powers. The Achaemenid culture may be the most fascinating out of all the empires. They created art in many forms, including metalwork, rock carvings, weaving, and architecture. As the empire expanded and encompassed other artistic centers of early civilization, they formed a new style with influences from all over their territory. The Parthian Empire. When Alexander the Great swept through Persia, the Achaemenid Empire fell, throwing Persia into a turbulent period. Out of this chaos rose the Parthians, a group from northeastern Persia who established a new empire in the 3rd century BCE. Known for their resilience and warrior culture, the Parthians ruled for nearly 500 years. Unlike the centralized Achaemenids, the Parthians took a new approach to governance. They allowed local rulers more autonomy, which allowed the Parthians to have more flexibility in their leadership instead of strictly managing every piece of their land. This meant they were a looser collection of territories, bound by loyalty rather than a strong central authority. One of the Parthians' most enduring impacts was their role in the Silk Road. Persia, sitting between China and the Roman Empire, became a natural bridge for the trade of silk, spices, gems, and other goods. They controlled much of the trade route, enriching their empire and fostering cultural exchange between the East and West. Merchants passed through Persian cities, bringing silk from China or silver from Rome, making Persia a crucial crossroads for the ancient world. Along with their role in the trade route, the Parthians were famous for their cavalry, especially their mounted archers. They had perfected a maneuver known as the Parthian shot, where their archers would feign retreat. Then, when their enemies least expected it, they turned back mid-gallop and fired at the pursuers. This tactic baffled their enemies and proved especially effective against the Romans in 53 BCE. This was when the Battle of Carrhae took place, in which the Parthians' forces defeated a much larger Roman army. It was one of Rome's worst military defeats, cementing the Parthians' reputation as fierce warriors. Over the centuries, Rome and Parthia became locked in a constant rivalry for territory and influence. The Parthians held their ground, maintaining Persia's sovereignty and even launching their own attacks into Roman territories. These encounters with Rome were often costly for the Parthians, but they showed the world that Persia was not a conquest to be taken lightly. The rise of the Sasanians. By the 3rd century CE, the Parthian Empire had weakened and a new dynasty rose, the Sasanians. This was a time of revival for the Persian Empire, as the Sasanians sought to restore Persia to its former glory. Unlike the Parthians, the Sasanians returned to a highly centralized government similar to the one used by the Achaemenids. They re-established Persian traditions, embracing Zoroastrianism as the state religion and strengthening their cultural identity. The Achaemenian kings had also been devout Zoroastrians, although they did not impose Zoroastrianism on the territories they conquered. Zoroastrianism was a religion based on the teachings of the prophet Zoroaster and emphasized the cosmic struggle between good and evil. Zoroaster likely lived sometime between 1500 and 500 BCE. He taught followers to worship one god, instead of the many deities worshipped by earlier Indo-Iranian groups. This faith became deeply woven into the fabric of Sasanian society, influencing their art, literature, and even their governance. Places of worship like temples and fire altars dotted the landscape, and the priests, or magi, played a crucial role in society both religiously and politically. In addition to religion, art and architecture flourished under Sasanian rule. The Sasanians left behind grand palaces, intricate rock carvings, and stunning reliefs that illustrated royal hunts, religious ceremonies, and significant battles. Their architectural techniques would later influence Islamic art, leaving a legacy that transcended the empire itself. In addition to carrying on the Parthians' rivalry with Rome, the Sasanians often clashed with their western neighbor, the Byzantine Empire. For centuries, the two powers clashed over land, religion, and influence, often with devastating consequences. Their wars drained both empires, setting the stage for the rise of Islam, which would change the face of the region forever. By the time the early Muslim conquests began against the Sasanians, they were weakened enough for their empire to fall. The last Sasanian ruler fell in 651 CE, marking the end of their empire forever. Later dynasties and the end of the Persian Empire. After the fall of the Sasanians and a period of transformation for the region, the Sassafid dynasty rose to power in the 16th century. They marked a new era of Persian identity, sometimes known as the Persian Renaissance, and established Shia Islam as the state religion. The Safavids helped enrich Persian culture, poetry, and art. They established beautiful mosques, markets, and public squares that are still admired today. You may have noticed the large gap between the Sasanian Empire and the Safavid dynasty. During that period, Persia experienced a period of fragmented political control, with various Islamic dynasties ruling different parts of the once great empire. The rise of the Safavid dynasty marked the first unified Persian rule since the Sassanians, establishing a solid identity once again. Essentially, the Safavids reconsolidated power and reasserted Persian leadership. After the Safavids, The Afsharid and Qajar dynasties led Persia through the challenges of the 18th and 19th centuries. Nader Shah, a successful military commander, established the Afsharid dynasty. He ruled over Persia when it held the most territory since the Sasanian Empire, controlling modern-day Iran, Armenia, Georgia, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and more. After his death, most of the empire was divided, and Afsharid rule was confined to a small area before Aga Muhammad Khan Qajar overthrew the remnants of the Zand dynasty and established the Qajar dynasty in 1796. The Qajar dynasty faced the growing pressures of European colonial interests. Despite the challenges they faced, they reigned until 1925. The Qajar dynasty ended when Reza Khan, a military commander, overthrew the monarchy and established another dynasty, the Pahlavi dynasty. It was the first Iranian royal dynasty. Its founder took on the name of the Pahlavi language spoken in the pre-Islamic Sasanian Empire to strengthen its nationalist credentials. Reza Khan first began to formally use the name Iran instead of Persia. Although the country of Iran started to take shape in the early 1500s, the outside world continued to call it Persia until the Pahlavi dynasty. Originally, Pahlavi planned to declare the country a republic, as one of his contemporaries had done in Turkey. However, he abandoned the idea in the face of British and clerical opposition. Despite political instability, this dynasty lasted until the Iranian Revolution in 1979, which established the present-day Islamic Republic of Iran. The most important theme in these final three dynasties is that even as European powers encroached on Persia, the rulers of these later dynasties took measures to preserve Persian culture. They encouraged the arts and upheld tradition, even when negotiating with foreign powers. Poets and scholars kept Persian heritage alive, highlighting a recurrent theme: Persia's resilience and commitment to its identity throughout the many dynasties that called it home. Today, we remember Persia as a land of many empires, each adding a layer to the rich history of this remarkable civilization. Its story spans centuries, marked by power, conquest, and resilience. From the Achaemenids to the Safavids, each empire contributed to Persia's legacy. How would you like to get a deeper understanding of history, impress your friends, and predict the future more accurately based on past events? If this sounds like something you might be into, then check out the brand new Captivating History Book Club by clicking the first link in the description. To learn more about the Persian Empire, check out our book, The Persian Empire, a captivating guide to the history of Persia, starting from the ancient Achaemenid, Parthian, and Sassanian empires to the Safavid, Afsharid, and Qajar dynasties. It's available as an ebook, paperback, and audiobook. If you found the video captivating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more videos like this.